Hello, so this is Software Drives Hardware presentation by Pasiri Akkarasawart. So today in this presentation I'm going to show you 3 softwares that I would like to install in my computer, and I'll list out the specs that it needs, and then I will show you the computer that I choose for all these 3 softwares. So the first software that I would like to install on my computer is Adobe Illustrator CS6. I would like to have this software because it will allow me to create vectors and artworks on the computer. And so the requirements, basically it needs a Intel Pentium 4 processor or an AMD Athlon 64 processor. The OS is Microsoft Windows XP with Service Pack 3 or a Windows 7 with Service Pack 1. The memory it requires is just around 1 GB of RAM for 32-bit, or 3 GB is recommended, and 2 GB of RAM for 64-bit, 8 GB is recommended. Hard drive space that it needs is around 2 GB of available hard disk space for installation. Additional free space is required during installation, and it cannot be installed on removable flash storage devices. And 1024 by 768 display with 16-bit graphics adapter is required, and it is recommended 1280 by 800 display. So, and you also need a DVD-ROM drive that is compatible with dual-layer DVDs. The next software that I would like to install is Adobe Photoshop CS6. This software will allow me to edit photos on the computer, so I would really love to have this software. And the processor that it requires is pretty much the same as the Illustrator. It is Intel Pentium 4 or AMD Athlon 64 processor. And the OS is Microsoft Windows XP with Service Pack 3 or Microsoft Windows 7 with Service Pack 1. And 1 GB of RAM memory, and it also requires 1 GB of available hard disk space for installation. And the rest is the same with the Illustrator. And the display, pretty much the same thing, 1024 and 24 by 768 display, and the recommended rate 1280 by 800 with a 16-bit color, and 512 megabyte or 1 GB recommended for VRAM and a DVD-ROM drive is what you need. The next software that I would like to install is Adobe InDesign CS6. This software will allow me to do publishing and web design layouts. So it's a really cool software, I think. And it requires pretty much the same, maybe a little different the specs with the 2 software that I just presented. So it requires an Intel Pentium 4 processor or AMD Athlon 64 processor. It also requires Microsoft Windows XP with Service Pack 3 or Windows 7 with Service Pack 1. So that's the OS. And 1 GB of RAM or 2 GB is recommended for the memory. And 1.6 GB of available hard disk space for installation. Additional free space is required, so that's pretty much the same thing, except for this is 1.6 gigabyte. And 1024 by 768 display is required with 16-bit graphics adapter. That's pretty much the same thing as the other two. So, and a DVD-ROM drive. Yay! And then, oh, so this is different. This software will require for you to have the Adobe Flash Player 10 software so that you can export small web format files. So when you work with InDesign, you need that. So yeah, so these are the three softwares that I would like to install on my computer. And pretty much the ideal hardware specs for all these CS6 Adobe softwares, they would need a processor with a dual quad-core Intel processor and an OS of 7 SP1 and memory of RAM 8 GB, hard drive storage of 750 GB, the video card, just standard video card or a Quadro 4000. So this is a computer that I chose. It's HP Z820 workstation. It has a 2 quad-core 3.30 GHz processor and a 32 GB of RAM, and NVIDIA Quadro 4000, and it supports OS Windows 7 and also Windows 8. So that is it. Thank you very much.